Since Simon invited you along to this party, he must really like you. We don't really let outsiders into our home, but Simon vouched for you. Do we need to start picking out outfits for a wedding? That's too much. I have not even thought about a wedding yet. I am enjoying getting to know Simon, Kate replied to the host of the party. She wanted to say she already had her wedding dress picked out, but was trying to come off as if she wasn't crazy about marriage. If, for some reason, Simon was foolish enough to not marry her, Kate would play it off like she was never interested from the very beginning. However, there was a high chance she would wed Simon. It was normal that after a few times attending parties together, a ring would soon follow. Still, you wouldn't mind settling down with him, right? If you do marry Simon, your family will be hitting a gold mine. First, your sister marries Edgar Collins. Now, you are with Simon, said Veronica Ray, the host of the party. What is Edgar Collins like? I never had the chance to speak with him to know what he is really like. Kate forced a smile, annoyed with Edgar and Alessandra becoming the topic of conversation once again. Whenever anyone stopped talking about her and Simon, they would bring up Alessandra or Edgar, wanting to find out more about the couple. He is just like you heard, she replied. Must be odd having him as a brother-in-law. What is your relationship like with him? Victoria asked. She would love to get closer to the Duke through Kate. Her husband had good investment ideas and wanted someone as wealthy as Edgar to be in on the plan. I am still getting to know him. He doesn't warm up to everyone easily, and he has been spending time with my sister, said Kate. Are the rumors that he killed your father true? Victoria asked. Yes, which makes talking about him and trying to get to know him hard. I am being cordial for the sake of my sister. I cannot forgive Edgar for killing my father. I am trying for Alessandra. She did not get to come to the funeral since she was out of town, Kate said, pretending to be sad for Alessandra. Oh dear, you shouldn't be in the middle of all this. I hope the Duchess will have a conversation with you and your husband so that... A loud thud interrupted the conversation. Victoria sighed, already knowing what it was. Kyle, I swear if you damage anything, you will pay for the repairs. Excuse me, Kate. Why do you have to body slam people everywhere you go? She's too nosy, Kate thought. The only things she liked about Victoria were her home, dress, and the fact she was kissing up to her since she would most likely be Simon's wife. Kate left the spot by the window, moving in case Victoria would want to speak with her again. Kate wasn't in the mood to continue talking about Alessandra or Edgar. She missed the days when people wouldn't talk about Alessandra, or if they did, they would talk about her mask. I'm competing with her again, Kate thought, quickly becoming angry with herself for admitting to being in competition with Alessandra in the past. I was always the pretty one, the one everyone should talk about, but now all they want to talk about is Alessandra, all because Edgar married her. Kate didn't like being second to anyone, and worst of all, Alessandra. She regretted not ruining both sides of Alessandra's face to make it so disgusting that Edgar would not have ever looked at her. A little bit more, and she would have set Alessandra on fire. If only her filthy mother would have run away with Alessandra, she thought. Kyle, put Simon down! Kate started to pay attention to the boring party now that Simon's name was called. She looked right in time to see the man Kyle tackling Simon like a wild animal. Kate saw red from the action. She would not marry Simon if he were to have a permanent injury. Then again, no one else would want to marry him, and his wealth would be in her hands. And attention would be on her for taking care of him. Kate rushed to where Simon was on the floor, laughing at what Kyle did. Are you all right, Simon? That looks like it hurt, she said. From the way he was sitting on the floor, she could see a red mark on his chest. There is a mark there. She reached out to touch it, but Simon grabbed her hand. People will talk if you touch me there. I don't want to ruin your reputation. I am all right, but thank you for being concerned. Kyle has a habit of trying to prove how he can knock someone off their feet. You didn't win, Kyle. You surprised me with your attack, Simon said as he stood up. Just because it is a common thing he does shouldn't overlook the fact you could have broken something. I thought this was a party where only people with class were invited, but it seems like I was wrong. Who? Kate! Simon exclaimed to stop her before she could go off on a tangent insulting Kyle. I am used to Kyle, so it does not bother me. Your comments were not needed. You should apologize to him. You don't need to be rude to defend someone. Kate felt the need to roll her eyes. This Kyle person was acting like a wild animal, but yet she needed to apologize? Was Simon crazy? The man was too nice for her liking. Kate bit her lip before smiling to please Simon. I am sorry, Kyle. I was just concerned for Simon, and my anger got the best of me. It's fine, Kyle replied, not hurt by Kate's comments. He'd been chewed up by Victoria for most of the party, and Kate's words weren't that bad. I'm kind of jealous of Simon. You got this sweet little thing to turn into an attack dog for you. Makes me want to steal her away from you, Kyle said, giving Kate a look over. As if I would ever want you, Kate thought. Just from Kyle's clothes and his behavior, she could tell he was a nobody. Just the delinquent son from a family with an average amount of money who didn't know how to act in public. She had seen better-looking farmers than him, too. Simon couldn't disagree with Kyle, who said that he was lucky to have Kate. He didn't enjoy the way Kyle was staring at Kate when Kate was here as his date. Kyle, you should avert your eyes before you find yourself on the floor. It's getting late, Kate. It's time I take you home before your mother gets worried. Kate's eyes lit up as the awaited moment was here. Now was the time for her to work her magic and go home with Simon. It seemed like Kyle was useful for something after all. Kate briefly glanced at Kyle as Simon took hold of her hand. She froze for a moment, terrified by the look in Kyle's eyes, that quickly disappeared when he realized she was scared. Kate was more than happy to be leaving with Simon right now. In the future, she would convince Simon to stay far away from Kyle, who was nothing but trouble, and Victoria, who was a terrible host. Are you all right, Kate? Simon asked, as he noticed how shaken up she appeared to be. What? Kate asked, looking up at Simon. The fear inside of her disappeared now that she was looking at Simon. I am fine, she replied. Kate, I hope I didn't make you wait too long, Simon said as he joined her out front of the home, just as his carriage arrived. Not at all. I hope Victoria wasn't too upset about us leaving so soon. After they had made it outside, Simon remembered they had left without telling Victoria or her husband goodbye, so he left for a moment to do so. No, she understood why we would want to leave right now, and she's trying to get the party in order. No more people being slammed to the ground, Simon replied. That was an exciting ending to that party. I hope you did accept my apology back there. I just get so protective of the people I care about, said Kate, wanting him to quickly forget about that side of her. She'd worked too hard to get this close to him for her image to be ruined. No, I overreacted. You did nothing wrong by defending me, so I shouldn't have made you apologize. I just do not like to see women snapping at each other or other people, and it didn't seem like the moment called for it then. I should have spoken about it in private. I am the one who needs to apologize. I'm sorry. Simon apologized. Kate was glad he realized his mistake in making her say sorry to that troublesome man. She would let the moment go for now and accepted his apology. Simon's coachman opened the door for them both. With Simon's help, Kate stepped into the carriage, followed by Simon. She was ecstatic when he sent her carriage back home so they could ride together in his. It set up the perfect way for her to visit his home, and then she would find a way to stay there for the rest of the day. Her mother would be proud of how things were going. So, Simon, is your home as lovely as Victoria's or better? I never had the pleasure of visiting. What is it like? Kate asked, setting down her trap. It is beautiful, but I have to say Victoria's is the winner. I am not good at picking out the best furniture or paint to complement the house. It is still a work in progress, even though it has been a while since I moved in there. I need someone with a sense of style to decorate it for me, Simon replied, ashamed of how unfinished the home was. I have yet to host a party because it is not all there. Kate perked up in her seat. You are in luck. I have excellent taste when it comes to styling homes. My friends are always jealous each time I redecorate my bedroom. I only need to see your home and know what your budget is to turn your home around. You are clearly busy since you have not gotten time to do it, so allow me. Simon appreciated the offer, but knew her mother wouldn't want her daughter to be wasting her time decorating his home. That is a kind offer, but I cannot ask someone with your status to decorate my home. Plus, your mother will not like it. She would allow me to decorate my future home, Kate thought. My mother would be delighted to hear that I am spending time doing something other than meeting with my friends. Please, Simon. I need something to distract me from thinking about my late father. It is part of why I was unable to fully enjoy myself tonight, Kate said, taking advantage of her loss to gain sympathy. Simon sighed, giving up for now. He hoped her mother would be able to talk some sense into Kate. All right, he answered to please her right now. Wonderful! Kate clapped her hands. We should head there now so that I can see what I'm working with. It will only take a moment. This Simon wasn't on board for. Kate, you know what this town thinks. If I take you to my home without you having a chaperone, nasty rumors will spread about our relationship. Another day will work. Kate's excitement quickly faded away. But she paused, not knowing how to fight against this. She didn't want him to think about such things now. Why couldn't he be like other men who would jump at the chance to be alone with her? I do not want to ruin you, Kate. I care about you too much to sully your good name. I will arrange a day for you and your mother to pay me a visit. Does that please you? Simon asked. Kate wasn't happy about not going to his home today, but an invitation for her and her mother to visit his home was still good. It would have the town focusing on them, awaiting to hear news of a wedding. All the attention would be back on her, just as it should be. It does. Thank you for caring about my reputation, Simon. We have grown so close quickly that I forgot there must be a line between us to not cause foul rumors. Simon lapped one leg over the other as he stared at Kate. Kyle had brought out the jealousy in him and made him realize he needed to get serious with Kate if he wanted to keep her by his side. He wouldn't be the only one to see how perfect she was. It was surprising she had not already been taken, but that did not matter. We would have to get rid of that line if we are to become closer without any judgment, he replied. Yes, we... Kate paused for a moment to think about Simon's words. She thought she was reading too far into it, but his smile confirmed that she was right. He was starting to think about marriage. I hope that we can get rid of it one day, she said. Kate dug her nails into her hands to hold back her excitement. Simon looked down at her hands, noticing how much she was wounding them. You shouldn't do that with so much force, Kate. You will harm yourself. Kate quickly released her hands. Ashamed she had been caught in her habit, she could never stop. Whenever she was excited or angry, she would always dig her nails into her hands. She tried to stop it many times, but failed. Kate and Simon continued to chat with each other about random things until the carriage entered the gates of the late Baron. Kate was upset their time together had come to an end, but she had much to prepare for. An engagement was right around the corner, and when it finally happened, she wanted to look her best. Kate exited the carriage after the coachman opened the door. You do not need to walk me to my door, Simon. My mother will invite you in for a long, boring conversation if you do. I enjoyed our time together, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye. She waved to him as she walked back to her home, keeping an eye on him for as long as she could. Simon smiled, waving goodbye to Kate, even after the carriage door was closed. Once she finally turned around, his smile disappeared. Simon sighed as he sat back in his seat. As entertaining as it was to watch her obey his every command, it was frustrating to keep smiling like a fool. That fucking idiot. Simon cursed Kyle. I should have punched him for tackling me. If not for his persona of letting things go, there would have been a different outcome tonight. There were only so many times he would let Kyle's foolishness go. Then there was the fact Kyle was eyeing what belonged to him. Kate was nothing but perfection. Each time he commanded her, Kate would force a smile and do as he wanted because she sought after his affection. She was not like the other girls who couldn't keep up their innocent facade. Kate was so perfect that he had to change the game. I want her on display, he deviously thought. Kate was just the person that he was looking for. Nothing like the other girls who would eventually bore him with their cries and not knowing how to continue the game. I only need to fill her head with sweet words, and she will continue to act innocent. Makes me want to put her to the test, he muttered. Kate's perfection could be too good to be true. He wanted to push a bit harder to see if she would let her mask slip and show her true personality, or continue to put on a show for him. If she did, he would marry her. He needed a good puppet to keep the suspicion off of him. Simon chuckled as the carriage began to leave. It was funny how the great Edgar Collins was not able to find that it was him yet. The game was getting boring until Kate arrived. Should I start leaving some clues to put him on the right track or toy with him? He wondered. He sent out the new girl to get the game started. If only the annoying little thing had not clawed at his chest, his anger would not have gotten the best of him, and her parents wouldn't be crying at the sight of her destroyed face. Simon looked out the window at the maids walking the streets to complete their task. They make this too easy. He grinned. It is not surprising that, out of all towns, Lockwood would have a psycho going around kidnapping and killing young women with no clear reason behind his attacks. I'm sad for the families, but happy my new home is just outside of town, said Dominic. There was always something going on in Lockwood, and he was genuinely surprised Edgar had not moved yet. Edgar could always move to a nearby town and visit Lockwood when he needed to help Tobias. Dominic wouldn't be shocked if Edgar would one day pack up most of his things and send his wife out of town to keep her away from the dangers here. Edgar looked around at the busy street as they walked to their destination. The snow had done nothing to slow down how busy Lockwood could get around this time of year. People wore their thick coats to handle the snow and carried on with their activities. News of the dead body wouldn't completely spread until night, so people were relaxed now. Even with the warnings and warnings from the town guards to remain vigilant, most of them were carefree. Edgar entered the home/shop of one of the town doctors used by the guards to inspect dead bodies. Mr. Looney, he called for the man. Looney? Dominic snorted, covering his mouth to hide his laughter. He would hate to be given such a last name. It is a horrible name, a short man with thick spectacles said as he popped up from behind a counter. His body rocked as he walked with a cane. I was hoping to be done with this, Edgar. I prepare myself to deal with many things, but I cannot stomach what is being done to all of these girls. You just missed the town guards a moment ago. Come with me. Guards came knocking on my door a couple of hours ago, acting all secretive before bringing something in. Once I noticed them trying to hide what they were bringing to me, I knew it had to be another victim. There hasn't been anything as cruel as this one for a while, said John Looney. It was gut-wrenching when one family came as fast as they could right after they were informed of the body. John removed a cloth he had placed over the young woman to hide what was done to her. There are the usual chain marks around the feet and hands, burn marks on the fingers and thigh. Just like all the young ladies, a couple of her nails were pulled out. What I found interesting was this, John said, carefully taking the girl's hand to show her nails. I thought it was dirt at first, but with a closer look, it is dry blood and skin. She fought back, said Dominic. Whoever this bastard is was scratched at some point. There is no telling where she clawed at this person, but there is a mark somewhere. Would be helpful if she clawed at the face, the neck, hands, or any other place that is exposed. It is our first clue to identifying this person. But we have one issue. It is winter, Edgar stated. Everyone now had a valid reason to be covered from head to toe because of the snow. This person was doing well with hiding their tracks from the very beginning. So Edgar doubted that if the scratch marks were somewhere exposed, this person would walk around not covered up. Still, a clue is better than nothing, Edgar said, to offer the doctor some peace. What happened to her face? He asked. Her face reminded Edgar of when he would go around squashing pumpkins as a child. Based on the damage and how easily her skull cracked open, I would say something with metal was used to beat her. Only the blood under her fingernails could be more useful. My sister left town with her daughter to get away from all of this. You never know who is next. I heard from one of the guards that a young boy witnessed a man placing the body where it was found. He was hidden in an ice fortress he made with friends, said John. It must have been a terrifying experience for that little boy to remain silent. Do you want to go see the description they got from the boy? Dominic asked Edgar. If the boy was able to see the face, an artist could be used to create a portrait of this person to be put up around town. No. Edgar shook his head. Too many people in one day will only make him nervous, and his retelling of what happened will change because of his nerves. Whatever the guards find out will be sent to my home right after. We should head back to the palace while information is being gathered. Edgar began to walk out of the room, but stopped when he noticed a flower sitting in a glass jar with water. He walked to the counter where the jar was and squashed the flower petals in the palm of his hand. Edgar, John exclaimed, shocked by Edgar's actions. I was taking care. What for? Edgar interjected before he could be given some bullshit story. Edgar hated seeing all the flowers found on the victim's body, and he would bet his fortune that the victim would hate the sight of it too. So why take care of the flower? That flower is nothing but a cruel reminder of a life lost. There is no reason to take care of it. Do not treat it like it is something special. If you find anything else, send a letter to my home. Edgar left the room before John could give him some ridiculous story about the girl's life and the flower being connected once again. John should have learned from the time he tried handing the flower to the family of the deceased that it was thrown to the ground, and no one wanted the flower to be kept and reminded of why it was here. He means well, Dominic said to John, then followed after Edgar. Dominic agreed with Edgar on not keeping the flower around. If he were to lose a loved one, and someone presented him with an item left by the killer, he would most likely find a fire and toss it in. On another note, Dominic hated the chrysanthemum because he placed it every year on the grave of his late grandfather, and it would bring back the sadness of watching someone he loved become weaker until they eventually passed away. This person will get cocky and slip up. They always do, and now you will have a description to go by, thanks to the boy. Feels like the beginning of unmasking this person and punishing them, Dominic said. Not to please Edgar, but as this was what he truly felt. One clue was all they needed to start finding more. Hopefully, Edgar replied, unsure of where they would go from here. But at least they were in a better place than before when it came to clues. The scratch and the boy seeing someone place the body were good news. This person they were looking for had messed up twice in this new start. I am heading back to the castle. We need to have more guards out on the roads at all times. The people here aren't smart enough to be more aware of their surroundings. Therefore, we need more guards doing it for them. News of the boy seeing someone should make Tobias happy. Seeing that body put me in a bad space. By the way, I have chosen to stay with you while I am here, Dominic said, shuffling away from Edgar when the man looked at him. Why is it that everyone around me seems to be thinking my homes are some sort of free shelter? Go rent somewhere to stay. Wow. Dominic placed his hand on his chest, feigning hurt. I thought you'd liked me. Good thing the house no longer belongs to only you. I'm sure the Duchess would love me staying in your home. Edgar gritted his teeth, as Alessandra would certainly allow Dominic to stay in their home. What once was a quiet place started to have a lot of visitors. I hope she has stayed out of trouble, he thought. There is no need to stare at my forehead, Hazel. The bleeding has stopped, and there isn't any pain at the moment. I am fine, Alessandra said for what felt like the 10th time. I don't need any more apologies from you too, Eleanor. It was not your fault that I was hit. Throwing a stone at a group of people is a bad idea from the beginning. Yes, but it doesn't make me feel any better. I can handle getting retaliated against for my words, but not when someone else is hurt in my place. Losing her hands isn't enough. Just leave me alone in her cell for 1 minute, and then I can relax, Eleanor said as she held up her fist. She was an expert in throwing punches because the boys where she grew up were annoying little shits who kept pulling her hair. The first punch had been a mistake, but once she saw the boy in pain, Eleanor couldn't help swinging at the others. Her actions backfired in her mother's eyes when those same boys grew up and didn't court her. This adds fuel to her not being called a lady because of her father's business, and her throwing punches like a boy. It all worked out for Eleanor since she didn't want to be with those boys. She wanted to be alone, reading and writing books while listening to the drama in town. Hazel placed her hand on her temple and sighed as she sat back in her chair. You are all right, but it is your husband I am worried about. Sophia's husband is currently destroying my husband's ears to release her, she informed the group. Release her? She injured Alessandra while trying to hit someone else, Eleanor argued. What would it take for there to be a normal gathering with ladies who don't seek to rip each other's throats? Hazel asked, tired of the recurring drama. She had enough of it just from the palace. Everyone would need to stay at home, Heather thought. Alessandra was starting to have enough of being around other young women, and only wanted to attend parties if Edgar was meant to go. She was starting to second-guess the party that she was planning to be social with other women. From an entire group of women, she only became fond of Eleanor so far. And though they started off rocky, Heather wasn't a bad person. Did she need any more friends than this? Being social with many women because of her title wasn't as good as she thought. She already had strong allies with the handful of women around her. Alessandra enjoyed the time spent with the women in the room and a few others. I am planning a party. Most likely the first one ever in Edgar's home for just young women. But before that, would you three like to pay a visit? Just us with Linda, Erin, my dressmaker, and my maid. No one would stir up trouble. I'm all for it. It would be even better if I could spend the night. I am in need of a bit of time outside the palace. What I wouldn't give to still be living with my parents. How about we kick out Edgar and have a little girls' night? I haven't had one since I was 9, said Hazel, excited to have some fun. They could talk about each other's husbands or crushes and forget all about their responsibilities as women. I haven't been to any. I am all for it. Eleanor raised her right hand. She wanted to experience a fun time with women her age. Excellent! Hazel clapped her hands. Heather? Sure, Heather replied. Her mother would have a fit for suddenly being around Alessandra. But Heather wanted to have some fun and see what the women in the room were really like. Alessandra liked the idea of a sleepover, but then there was her grumpy husband. Would Edgar honestly leave the house for it to just be girls? And with another body found, I doubt he would want to be too far away. Well, he can stay. Edgar's home is large enough that he can stay on one side of it. We'll forget that he is even home. Besides, no one in their right mind would attack Edgar Collins' home, even if he wasn't present. Do you know how many times I had to listen to the men in court complain about the small army Edgar has? Hazel asked, rolling her eyes as the annoying complaints started to replay in her head. Alessandra heard of Edgar having a lot of men at hand, but she didn't see them. The men walking around outside the house and guarding the gates could not be what the court was referring to. I haven't had a proper tour of all his land, she thought. There was still so much more to Edgar that she needed to learn. Alessandra hadn't explored all of his estate because it would be too tiring, and she had not visited all the land he owned. Since Edgar's home was located at the beginning of his land, she didn't stray away from the house. As soon as winter was over, she would see more of his land. It would solve the question of where the army was. Linda will be returning to town in a day, so she will be able to attend. The only problem now is not getting her brothers or father to stake out Edgar's home. It was cute at first to see her family so protective, but at this age, I would snap. There are different reasons why each of us needs to have some time to relax, Hazel said, as they all had some sort of issue in their lives. She had to deal with the pressure of conceiving a child, and now her best friend being pushed to sleep with her husband. Alessandra was still trying to find her place amongst her peers, after years of foolish rumors and her family sheltering her. Heather had to deal with bullying. Eleanor wasn't on good terms with many women, and Linda would be freaking out when she learned of her grandfather's plans. There was a knock at the door, and then a woman entered Tobias's room with a tray. Your Highness, I have brought more tea for you and your guest, said Julia, Hazel's personal maid. Thank you. How is the gathering going? Are the remaining ladies behaving? I will rejoin them in a moment, Hazel said, as she needed a few minutes of peace before joining the chaotic group. Julia walked around the group, placing the already poured out tea in teacups before each lady. They were shaken up about Sophia getting dragged out, but they resumed what they were doing. Shall I tell them you will be arriving shortly? Yes, in about 5 minutes. Let everyone gather in the room. We will finish up there and share the gifts that were put together. Thank you, as always. Hazel smiled. She was grateful to have someone as competent as Julia by her side, always on top of what needed to be done and kept her up to date with what was happening in the palace. The palace seems to get the best of everything. I have never come across such a good mix of tea while I'm in the market. I'm jealous, Eleanor muttered as she picked up her cup and drank the tea. On cold winter days, there was nothing like drinking tea and sitting before a fire with a good book. She drank her tea in one sip. I can get the supplier's name for you. You can have mine. Hazel pushed her cup to Eleanor, since Eleanor had quickly drunk her own. I am not in the mood for any more tea. As soon as you are finished with the tea, we will head back. The host has been away far too long. Eleanor happily took the cup of tea from Hazel. There were so many women who would love for the queen to give them her tea. She would take pleasure in rubbing this in their faces. Eleanor brought the tea to her lips, excited to have more, but stopped when she smelled something different compared to the tea she had a second ago. There seemed to be two scents mixing together. The new scent was faint, but Eleanor picked up on it because it was familiar. She scrunched up her nose for some reason. Why do I know this? She wondered. It was right on the tip of her tongue. She couldn't place why she got this reaction from it. Had the scent been more pungent, she would have had a better chance of picking it out. She figured the queen had a special mix of tea given to her solely, so Eleanor didn't overthink the scent and drank the tea.